Hey guys, it's Bear with the Gimme Camper. I was going to go over today how I did my generator exhaust on my Predator 3500 when I installed it into the camper. I've had quite a few requests on how I did that. I'm not a professional at this. This is the way that I did it. You have to be very careful with these type of things because of the carbon monoxide and the gas buildup, and you have to do this at your own risk. Now I did use flex tubing, and the tubing is pretty rigid, but it's not rigid enough to stay where it needs to when you first start it, and so it does move around a little bit, and I had to build a support there. Just to re-emphasize the safety, this machine does run outside of the camper, and the exhaust points toward the side of the camper to push it further away. First thing I did was take off the spark arrestor and the plastic trim piece off the end. Now there is a little bit of a muffler there that you'll find whenever you pull that off, and that's what I attached this to. This was just 1-inch flex tubing that I ordered from O'Reilly Auto Parts. The problem is that you can't find an exhaust clamp that's small enough, and so you have to use a hose clamp. And the hose clamps aren't strong enough to compress this pretty rigid end of this flex tube down tight against that end of the muffler. So what I decided to do was get a cut-off wheel and cut notches all the way around the end of the flex tube. That way the hose clamp could compress it against the end of the muffler there. It seemed to still be pretty strong after cutting through 2 rings, so that's where I stopped. I would worry about this situation if you were going to mount this inside of your camper in a storage. I would be afraid that some carbon monoxide could leak through these slots that I made. Then just because of the way that the flex tube was made, one end was longer, so I just had to trim half of the end on it. The next step was just to get a hose clamp, put on the flex tube, put it on the muffler, and tighten it down. I was pretty happy with the connection that it made with the Predator, and so I'm just going to show you some pictures here of how that all came together. Now this flex tube, it was still pretty flimsy on the end, so I had to build a support. So I just used some L brackets and some just pieces from a hardware store, and just rigged up this thing that's got a U shape on the end for support, and it seems to do great. The exhaust is still pretty quiet. The loudest part about the machine running is actually the latch that goes on the MORryde tray on the front jiggles a little bit, and I'm going to have to put something to hold it down.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.